on up, please. And then, I can't remember, I think Ron or Earl, Barb, and Ron, yes. Our sponsors.
So we can say what we want to do with this.
I feel so underdressed for this.
No. Okay, so.
Wait, we should have.
Who should we have? Me.
Ron next to.
Yeah.
You know, so I can remember who's.
So you're going to introduce Jessica,
Yeah.
and then you're going to introduce Miguel, and you're going to
Right.
introduce Lewis. Okay? All right.
All right.
Kick it off.
All right. Well, I'd like to welcome Jess Lutz, and I have to pause whenever I say her name, her last name anyway, so I get it pronounced correctly. Since we pronounce our last names differently, but I met Jess at one of the coffee clatters that the chamber has, and I saw that she was involved in a program that was focused on young children, and I thought this would be a great organization for her, and she agreed. So I'll turn it over to Jess, and she can say a few words.
Yeah, I really was, I'm fairly new to Central Oregon. I didn't know what organizations to get involved with. Coffee Clatter's been great. But when Barb approached and told me a little bit more about Kiwanis, I knew it would be the best fit. So I'm so happy to be here. I love these lunches. I'm glad that it works with my schedule, and I look forward to many more service and socials.
All right, very good. And so we have all these fun things for you: a certificate,
Thank you,
and a pen that you can wear on your tie
Hey, I
or your
will.
lapel. And then this is a new member packet, gives you more information.
Beautiful.
Mr. Ron.
All right, Miguel. I met Miguel and his wife in the process of asking him to come and speak to our group, actually. And we got to talking a little bit, both of you, and found out you were from New Mexico most recently, right?
I got moved from New Mexico, but not from there. But
No, but you, the last place you were
Yes,
was
yes.
New Mexico, and we invited you to come and speak. You came and spoke, and we found out that you were a fairly long-term Kiwanian too,
Yes.
in the process. So, it made the sell a little bit easier for us. But we're really grateful to have you and your wife here as part of our group, and we started out by doing the Christmas bell ringing together, and that went really well, I thought. It was cold that day, man.
I know it was cold.
But that's a part of the deal. So really welcome to our group, and we're very, very happy to have you with us. All right, we have a pin for your lapel. You do have a lapel. And a little certificate here that we can show to our social media group. And a little information kit as well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Glad
you.
to have you with us.
Would you like to, Miguel, would you like to say some words? or-
Yeah.
Well, I
please.
just want to share with you guys that I've been Kiwanian for probably 12 years. Started over in Salem, Oregon, actually. That's where I came, become with the Salvation Army, joined the Salvation Army in Walla Walla, Washington, Clovis, New Mexico, and now here. And every place, every area has been such a wonderful experience for me, for my wife, and also for Salvation Army, because Kiwanians, or the Kiwanis Club, contributes quite a bit participating with Salvation Army here and there in different aspects. But I'm so thankful to become a member, and thank you for your fellowship, friendship, and also for your participation in cold weather. That was crazy, but it was a blessing for so many families.
Good, good, very good. Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you.
Earl, you want to introduce Lewis?
Lewis is my neighbor,
All right.
and so for a number of years we've been able to do things together. One of the things we do is we have a wine club, and the wine club is very interested in helping to collect food. And Lewis and his lovely wife are able to help me do that, and I really greatly appreciate it. He's, I think, been an asset to the community. He's got a couple of kids who are no longer at home, thank goodness.
Thank goodness. It's right.
And it's got a couple of dogs that run around our yard, which is great. We appreciate that. But he's really, I think, an asset to the club. He's already been out to several of the events, and he will be helping me collect food.
Yes, I will.
And when we go out on our highway cleanup, he will be there with us. So we really appreciate him joining Kiwanis. It's taken some time to keep kind of pushing folks into doing that. So I'm really glad that he decided to pick up the phone and call and find out about it. So we really appreciate you coming in.
Thanks.
And so again, we have some gifts for you.
Okay.
Here's your pen.
Thank you, sir.
And all the information you need about Kiwanis.
Baby.
And here is your certificate. Again, appreciate that.
Thank
We'll get our
you very
picture
much.
taken, and then you get to talk.
Now, I've watched Earl for a number of years, and I've been working mainly in Bend, but living in Redmond, and I just wanted to start contributing to the community, meeting people, and so forth. So, with him as the role model, I picked up the phone, talked to Carl, and that was it. The first event was great. I've been to some Rotary meetings in Bend. But this group was great, so that's really, what drew me here. So, but thanks for having me.
Thank you all.
PG.
So I should probably tell my. I almost ruined the joke. So what's the smartest thing a man says?
Yes, dear.
Yes, dear.
Nothing.
Well, okay. Yes, my wife says. Yes, dear is right up there. So that's all I got for you. Speaking of a internationally renowned woman who I've come to know and admire and develop a friendship, Miss Lauren Olander is the Chief Development Officer for Ronald McDonald House of Oregon and Southwest Washington. She's a hoot, a great person, has a really neat and interesting background that you'll have to have a conversation with her one-on-one to get. Lauren, you've been great to me, great to get us involved in Ronald McDonald House. That's been fun for my family to do that. I really appreciate that. Great that you're in this club. I know that the house is in Bend, but it's amazing to learn how much broad a reach in Central Oregon that impacts. So, without further ado, one of our own, Miss Lauren.
Thank you.
Some more water.
No, okay.
Sure.
I'm just going to try to talk
Oh.
really loud.
Do you want the mic?
I'm going to, can you guys hear me without the mic?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. I would prefer not to use the mic. So thank you. Yes, thank you guys for having me. Not only as a member of the club, but, oh, I'm probably standing right in front, sorry. As someone in the community that we need the support of the community to support the families and children of our community. So Kiwanis was a perfect partnership for me when I was looking at places to invest my time, energy, as well as getting to talk to you guys about the Ronald McDonald House. So I know some of you are familiar with Ronald McDonald House. Some of you have already been in our kitchen cooking and seen the house. But hopefully you'll still learn something new today that you didn't know from cooking in the kitchen. So my goal is when all of you leave today, you all become an ambassador of Ronald McDonald House and know enough about what we do that even if you don't remember everything I said, that if you ever run into a family that has a child under the age of 22 years old that's receiving medical care of any kind and they have to travel from their own home to get that care, Ronald McDonald Houses are there for them. So the easiest thing you can do is say to somebody, if they're traveling for care, is ask them if they know there's a Ronald McDonald House and just call the local house and we can figure out the entire referral process for them. So Ronald McDonald House, our goal is to make sure that every family has access to medical care and they don't face any hurdles or obstacles because they have to travel from their own home community. And everything that you'll hear me talk about today that we provide to families is 100% complimentary. No family is ever charged.
There is no financial qualifier for families on either end. Really, the only qualifier to stay at a Ronald McDonald House is the child patient has to be under 22 years old and receiving medical care. So they don't have to be in the hospital. It could be a family from a rural community that they have to see a specialist in a community outside of their own, and they're just coming for a doctor's appointment. They can stay with us the night before. They can stay with us the night after their appointment before they drive home the next day. So really the only qualifiers are the age of the patient being under 22 and receiving some sort of medical care. Michelle and I have been talking about how to connect Rimrock Trails, because we're a place that if there is a child inpatient with Rimrock, maybe inpatient isn't the right word, in residence, and there's a family that wants to be close to their child to support them, we could support the family staying with us while their child is getting support from Rimrock. So there is a much broader opportunity for partnerships within the community than a lot of people realize. Most of the time, and I'm sure this will be true today, if I ask you guys, how many of you have heard of Ronald McDonald House Charities? Everybody would raise their hand. But if I ask you to close your eyes and tell me what you see, what most people describe to me is the St. Jude commercial, which is a great commercial. But here in Oregon, the only two hospitals that treat pediatric cancer are Dornbecker Children's Hospital in Portland and Randall Children's Hospital in Portland. So in our Bend house, we will never ever see a cancer patient. So then when I ask everybody to close their eyes again and say, okay, get rid of the St. Jude commercial, now what do you see when you think of the Ronald McDonald House in Bend? And that's where most people get a little blurry, like, I'm not sure what you do. So in our Bend house, most of the families that stay with us are families that have a baby in the neonatal intensive care unit. And the reason is St. Charles NICU is the highest level neonatal intensive care unit in the state, east of the Cascades, all the way to Boise, and all the way as far south as Northern California. So if you think about a map, pretty big, huge area. So any family in those communities that babies born premature, babies born with any health issues, mom's a high-risk pregnancy, and they need to be near a high-level NICU, the very first place they're going to be sent is Bend to St. Charles. So that's why our house exists. It exists in Bend not to serve the Bend community. The house exists in Bend to serve families from outside of Bend that have to travel to Bend for medical care. So I say that because earlier where did you go? Said something about joining a group in Bend, and there were lots of noises there. I want to clear the air that our house in Bend exists there because that's where families travel for medical care. It isn't because it typically serves the Bend community. We rarely have a Bend family that stays in our house. So just want to say that out loud so you don't boo when you see a slide that says Bend Ronald McDonald House. Trying to avoid the boos and the boos. So Ronald McDonald House Charities of Oregon and Southwest Washington, we have a presence throughout the entire state. I know this is really little because I realized the screen was far away from all of you. But we have 4 Ronald McDonald houses in the state, 1 at each of the children's hospitals in Portland. We have the house in Bend, and our newest house is in Springfield, right across the street from Peace Health Riverbend. And that's because they have a high-level NICU that serves all of the coastal communities that tend to go to Springfield when there's a medical issue there. We also have what are called hospitality carts. So not that any of you are old enough to remember the idea of candy stripers in a hospital.
Oh, yeah.
But our hospitality carts are carts that it's a volunteer program that they roll through the hallways of pediatric wings, neonatal intensive care unit, and family birthing centers in 4 of the hospitals in the state. It's a volunteer-run program, so our volunteers provide not only for the parents coffee, tea, hot chocolate, books, magazines, toiletries, anything the parents might need while they're hanging out at the hospital, but also books, games, puzzles, toys, snacks, things like that for kiddos that are in the hospital as well. So it's how we're able to serve families that are in the hospital that, for a variety of reasons, may not be staying in a Ronald McDonald House, but we can still provide some sort of support for those families while they're in the hospital. And I know, really teeny weeny pictures, but Chris, I can send you the PowerPoint if you want to share it with anybody. So those are our 4 houses. Our house that serves Dornbecker is our largest house. It sits at the south waterfront in Portland, so right at the bottom of the cable car there is a big building that looks like it has all these weird little squares on the side. Don't ask.
How big is that house?
How big is that house?
Yeah.
That house has 78 rooms.
Oh my God. So I didn't know that was it.
Yeah, so that's what that building is. Our house that serves Randall Children's Hospital, which is this one on the east side, has 25 family suites. Our Bend house now has 7 suites after our renovation, and our Springfield house has 20. So we serve a pretty big demographic. So not only do we serve all of Oregon and Southwest Washington, but if you think about Oregon and many of the locations where our houses are tourist destinations. So you have families traveling and kiddos have a bike accident, a ski accident, a snowboarding accident, a river rafting accident. And you also have moms that travel on vacation when they're pregnant that may go into preterm labor or have some sort of complications. So we serve Oregon and Southwest Washington. We also serve anyone that's in our state when a medical issue arises. Our houses also serve a lot of international families that come to Oregon because Oregon has significantly more lenient surrogacy laws than many other states and countries. So a lot of surrogates are here in Oregon. So once that mom gives birth, they no longer have legal rights to the baby. So we have a lot of international families that are adopting from surrogates here in Oregon. So we get a really broad variety, and for those of you that have been in the Bend house or those of you coming to cook, you'll see we have some maps on the wall that show exactly how far our reach is and who we serve at the Bend house. So Kiwanis has a long history with our Bend house. One of the mainstays and centerpieces of our house is our fireplace that's in our great room. And on the fireplace, on all 4 sides of the fireplace, are the names of every donor, every organization that was part of building that house in 1995. And as you can see, Kiwanis of Redmond was part of the original build of the house. So I'm curious of some of our more long-standing Kiwanians. How many of you guys were part of Kiwanis when the original house was built? I had a feeling. So thank you for allowing this house to stay.
And Mike's dad built the little houses that put on the top at the store so that he could collect donations.
So we still use those houses. When we did, so we just finished a $1 million capital campaign to remodel the Bend house. So we had to empty the entire house, and probably for 15 years, nobody had been upstairs in the attic rafters. So we had no idea what to expect up there. So we all had some bets going on of how many dead animals and odd things we would find. And we found a huge box and bin that had all of these wood houses. And we were like, why are we not using them? So they are now dusted off, the hinges have been replaced, and we actually do use them out in the community at fundraisers. So thank you. Thank you. So yeah, Kiwanis has a long history, and for those of you that don't know the history of our house, our entire house is a timber-framed house. The timber are old-growth trees from Drake Park in the banks of the Metolius, and they were donated to the Bend well, they were donated to the charity before the house existed in 1995, and the Timber Framers Guild of America used our house as a master class to teach timber framers from all over the world how to do this particular type of timber framing. So when you come to the house, it is a beautiful house. And we had timber framers from Denmark, Australia, all over the world that were part of this project. And during our renovation, when we were doing the capital campaign and the house was closed, we had a mom and her daughter knock on the front door, and our contractor was there that day. And they came in and shared that their dad was the lead timber framer from Denmark that was part of the build, and they were on vacation, and the dad had said to them, if you ever make it to Oregon, you have to go to Bend and see the house that I helped build. So we took some pictures of them in front of the fireplace. So it was a great project, and when you come to the house to cook, you'll hear lots of stories about the history of the house. But thank you guys, because you can see all of the Kiwanis clubs, Burns, John Day, Madras, Pineville, Redmond, were all part of the original build of this house. And up until a few years ago when the Bend Club closed, the Bend Club used to come once a month and cook. So thank you for stepping into that spot and taking that over so we still have Kiwanians in the house on a regular basis. Picture me. Are you wearing the same shirt today? How good. I didn't know. I swear I didn't tell her to wear that today. So the idea for us at the Ronald McDonald House, Barb, I only have one picture of you in that shirt. It's okay. So for us at Ronald McDonald House, we want to be able to provide every single thing we can for a family while they're staying with us. So they only have one thing they have to think about, and that's caring for their child. So that's where our Meals from the Heart program comes in. We have laundry, like everything a family needs, we can provide for them. We can't take care of the bills at St. Charles, but we can take care of everything else for them. So the only focus they have is caring for their child. So we have a variety of reasons that families stay at our house. Number 4 being the cancer treatment. This is our top 5 for all 4 of our houses, but the Bend house is definitely mostly going to be our NICU families. We have a lot of families that stay for just one night. As I referenced, we're rural families that are coming to Bend for a doctor's appointment, testing, kiddos getting tonsils out, things like that. So families can't just stay one night. Families can stay as long as they need, as long as their child's receiving care. So there's no minimum, no maximum. As long as the child's receiving medical care, family's welcome to stay with us. So just to give you an idea of the impact we have on families, in 2022 at all 4 of our houses, we provided almost 22,000 free night stays to families. And for us, between all of the support we provide for families, food, all the amenities, everything we provide, it's about $250 a night that a family is saved by staying with us. If you also think about all of Oregon, but Central Oregon in particular, first of all, a family finding a hotel room available during tourist season could be impossible. And there are not really inexpensive hotel rooms near the hospitals. So we're able to offset all of that cost for them. So in 2022, we estimate over $5 million is what we save families by being able to stay with us. So I also wanted to bring it down to the Bend level to give you an idea of locally. So in 2022, the longest stay we had of a family was 122 nights. That was a Redmond family. Baby was born at 24 weeks. So for those of you that have either have kids, grandparents, usually we like baby cooked about 40 weeks, not 24 weeks. So when a baby's born at 24 weeks, average weight is about a pound. So think of a stick of butter. So those babies are going to be with us for a really long time, and so are those families. Interestingly enough, in 2021, our longest stay was 159 nights, and that was also a Redmond family. Anybody that followed our Facebook page in 2021, the family that we followed was a Redmond family. Baby's name was Amelie, and she was born at 21 weeks. Normally at 21 weeks, the doctors would not provide life-saving measures, but they were able to adjust mom's due date to call it 22 weeks, and then they were. So that family was with us. 159 nights, they left us. Baby was transferred to a hospital in Ohio, and the family then moved into a Ronald McDonald House in Ohio. So when we talk about, although the house is based in Bend, we have a huge impact on the families that stay with us no matter where they live. And it was interesting because Josh and I were talking last night when I was putting this slide together, and I was like, which families were those? I was like, oh, both those were Redmond families. So, and also I have to add to give a shout out to Josh. Josh is our newest board member on the Ronald McDonald House Leadership Board in Bend, so thank you. So also just to give you an idea for Central Oregon, The top numbers are free night stays of families, and the bottom are how many families were served from each of those communities. And that is, what's interesting is our 2 Portland houses, and Barb, I'll send you all of them too. Our 2 Portland houses, the biggest county that our Portland houses serve are Deschutes County. So whenever I travel to all 4 of our houses, oftentimes the majority of families in any house I go to are right here from Central Oregon, which is really interesting. And people don't necessarily think about that. And it's the same thing with our Portland houses. Our 2 Portland houses have a mileage requirement that you have to live more than 40 miles from the house to stay. And that's because, number one, with the 2 children's hospitals up there, the houses are always full. And of course, people would want to stay so they don't have to deal with traffic in Portland. But we want to make sure our houses are available for our rural communities, not just kind of offsetting the traffic piece. So it's the same thing with our Portland houses. They will never have a Portland family that stay at our Portland houses. It is always our rural families and families that have to travel that stay at any of our 4 houses. So if you can, I don't know if you can read that there. This is one of our Redmond families from 2021. That is Angie and Amelie. So I've got another picture coming up, but when Amelie was born at 21 weeks, what Angie did, because a lot of people haven't had the experience of seeing exactly how little a baby is when they're 21 weeks old on the outside, every week she would take pictures with the baby with different things so you had a size. So when Amelie was first born, Angie took a picture of her with a pen, like pen on your table next to it, and Amelie was smaller than the size of the pen. So, you know, what we provide for the families, we're not caring for the child, the medical team is, but the support that this family needed day in and day out throughout their journey was really beyond what any of us can imagine. And it's also why all of you coming into our houses and helping support our families and cook for them, and just them knowing they're surrounded by their community of support, it makes a huge difference for these families. So, to give you an idea of exactly how many meals we serve, in 2022 we served almost 170,000 meals between all 4 of our houses to families. So there's enough food in our houses for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for every single family that stays with us. Although we have you guys signed up to come in and cook once a month and do dinner, we also have people that come in and cook breakfast or lunch, or come in on the weekends and do brunch. I think, Chris, the first time you came in, you did a breakfast casserole for us on the weekend, which was a huge treat for our family. So know you are welcome in the house more than once a month, and you're welcome in the house to come cook. Any of you in the room that are bakers, we have a lot of people that come in the house just randomly and bake cookies and things like that for the family. So the doors are always open for support. So our January group, Chris's family and Uncle Ron. Ron, we're still trying to figure out what to do with the hood over the cooktop.
Why do you ask?
I had a group in the other day, and I was watching this very tall woman get near it, and I was like, no, don't put it there. So anyway, and Chris, I didn't notice until last night was the pictures of the faces of your kids. So. Perfect.
Love them.
And then our February group, that was just here. And then we will continue to keep pictures going throughout the whole year, Barb, so you've got pictures to represent the entire year of groups coming in. So, how to get involved. So I brought, and I'm going to just ask you guys to pass around, some cards that are all about our Meals from the Heart program and contact information and things like that. And then all different volunteer opportunities in the house. I mentioned the hospitality card. It's a volunteer-run program, so if that's something that you're interested in doing. We also need help in the house. We're a pretty small staff, so we do rely on volunteers being house hosts and spending time in our house, answering phones, helping with whatever we have going on in the house. So there's lots of different volunteer opportunities. And then I also brought an impact report that talks specifically about our Bend house and the impact we have on families here in Central Oregon. Chris, I'll give you that. those. And holiday time, we do toy drives as well for our families because we have many families that stay with us over the holidays. And when they're with us, once again, we want to provide everything we can for them. Last thing they have time to do is go shopping and get ready for the holidays. So we can provide all of that. And this is baby Mia, who was the other Redmond family that stayed with us last year for 122 nights. So she was born at 24 weeks. So you can see, imagine the soda can. So it gives you an idea of like, these families are with us for months at a time while they're going through this journey. So, yeah.
So really quick, because I know we're so short on time. It's not asking a question, it's saying how amazing you are. So in 1998, at 28 weeks, I had an emergency C-section. At 28 weeks, my daughter was 875 grams, which is 1 pound, 11 ounces. She was 8 and 3/4 inches long, so she was a lot tinier than a ruler. Stayed in for 10 weeks. Thrived, did very well. We had some ups and downs with the lungs, the heart, everything. She is now 25 years old. She has a slight learning disability, so she was on an IEP program in her schooling. She is now an esthetician. Everything has to be done because she has 0 retention, so she has everything done by audio. It's repetition work, but she's an esthetician working in Sherwood and just doing amazing. But seeing the pictures of little tiny ones and holding, I could put her in my hand, and the smallest preemie hats that are made by volunteers were too big. Her head was the size of a small plum, and her fingers looked like tiny little toothpicks. And it was, she's amazing, and it was one of the most beautiful things for my family and I to go through with her, and I just love her so. But we did a lot of staying at Ronald McDonald house, and just amazing.
Thank you for
Yes.
sharing. Thank you for sharing. So I could, as Chris and Josh know, I love what I do. I love what the organization does, and I could talk for hours, but I want to give you guys the opportunity if there's any questions or, yes, questions. And when you come to the house and sign up for a meal, we'll give you a full tour of the house, and you'll have lots more time to hear all about it too. But wait, Barb, there's a question right behind you.
So can you always house everybody that wants? I mean, it seems like it's pretty small.
So that's a really good question. Somehow we manage. I think the social workers at the hospital do a great job of playing a game of Tetris, of moving things around. We are almost at capacity all the time, and we have hotel partnerships with a couple of the hotels around the hospital that if we need to put somebody in a hotel for a couple nights until we can get them into the house. So far, I think the good and the bad is the more the community knows that we're there and what a resource we are, the more need there is. But I think that's a good problem to have for us to figure out. But usually we're pretty good if we rarely turn anyone away. So.
The first house was probably in Portland.
Actually, the East House that serves Randall Children's Hospital and the Bend House, they were both built in 1995. And then you're right, the very first house in Portland that served Dornbecker was a teeny weeny little house up on the top of the hill where Dornbecker is. And then when the property became really valuable, they asked for the land back. So prior to us opening that really large house at South Waterfront, we took over the 5th floor of the Marriott Hotel at the South Waterfront for 5 years. And that was where we ran the Ronald McDonald House until the South Waterfront house was built.
That's what I was going to say. My nephew spent years going to Dornbreckers, and it was the Marriott.
Yep. Yeah. So thank you. Oh, yeah.
I just want to compliment, my cousin had a baby in June of 2020, and Em Pendleton had heart issues, and they spent months at Dornbeckers in Portland during COVID. So how you guys pulled it off during COVID was, they couldn't have done it without it.
Yeah, we kept, during COVID, our houses were open the entire time. We had lots of restrictions of you couldn't have guests and we didn't have volunteers in the house. But at no time did we shut down the houses because what were the families going to do? You know, so we figured it out. So,
Wonderful.
So
Okay.
thank you guys. And like I said, when you guys come into the house and cook, and I encourage all of you sign up for a month at some point. It's not only is it a lot of fun, not only is it meaningful, it's a really gorgeous kitchen.
And you can golf on, when's the golf tournament?
June 2nd, we have a golf tournament coming in. We put a golf tournament on just to celebrate Chris's birthday every year. So if you want to come celebrate Chris's birthday with us, come golf with us.
I just found out yesterday I can go.
Yay.
So,
We are looking for feedback on lunch today, and also there's lots of cookies over here, so grab one to go. Everything over here is fair game. So.
good.
Job.
All right, let me ding you.